this is where you guys want to eventually end up, back here in these little flats. So you're going to come down to the south here. There's a little red channel marker, your first red channel marker on the right hand side there. You make a right, go up this canal. There's a little entrance.
This one, right? Not this one?
Correct, yeah, that second one down. And then that little entrance right here, that's what we call the toilet bowl. All that water converges in there and an outgoing tide swirls around like a toilet bowl. And then from there, you just kind of want to head south and west. I've been finding schools 10, 20, 30 redfish wrapped up in there.
All right, guys, so we've been dodging storms, and here's the deal. We had to make a move from the northern part of Flagler County down to the southern part of Flagler Beaches. All the weather's clear now. We're gonna head out. I'm actually joined now by Chris Cantwell from Riverview, Michigan of the native fishing team, and my good buddy Jeff Little from Torquedo. But before we head out, I want to show you one of my most effective ways for catching redfish over the years. So I've got split ring pliers that are tied to my PFD because I like to use these for removing hooks if somebody gets hooked. So if I can take the hook off of the lure first, it always makes the job of getting the hook out of the person easier. So what I like to do is take a split ring, spread it out just like so. Whoops, I'm on the wrong side. Just like so. And I take a small swivel. These swivels happen to be Spro. Sampo swivels and other swivels like that work great. My favorite happen to be the Spro, inline barrel swivels. And then you take your little spoon, you just stick the eye of it on there just like that. Take your pliers, just grab that, grab that split ring and just work it on there just like so. Once it passes the split, which is why it's called a split ring, it's locked in and so is your swivel. One of the reasons that I like that is it keeps the swivel keeps it from spinning up your line. It allows it to have a little more action. But in this particular case, this is an 1/8 ounce spoon. A lot of folks use 1/4 and 1/2 ounce spoons, and I use those as well. But when I'm getting back into the mangroves and I'm getting into super shallow water, this really small spoon does a lot better job of staying up off the bottom in super shallow water. I can reel it slower, it stays in the strike zone more. If I twitch it, it has a little bit more of an erratic action. And when I cast it, it skips up under the mangroves easier. It's weedless. It's got enough weight to cast, and it is one of my most deadly redfish lures over the years. So if you haven't done so yet, throw a split ring and a swivel on your spoon. It'll give a little bit more action. Downsize to an 1/8 ounce spoon, and this thing is deadly for shallow water redfish. All right, guys, so welcome to today's vlog. I'm joined by Chris Cantwell from the native fishing team. He's from Riverview, Michigan. It's his first time fishing for redfish, and to get here, it was his first time ever on an airplane. So we're gonna head back into the mangroves, Flagler Beach, Florida, and see if we can't find some hungry, aggressive, feisty redfish. And on that side of the camera is Jeff Little, towing the camera guy, so he's gonna be popping in and out of the video as well. So here we go. Wait, here I go. It's so nasty. It's almost disrespectful to somebody on the water when you just go by. Oh, sorry, my bad.
Man, this is awesome.
So all this stuff looks fishy, and it's hard. You have a hard time paddling past fishy looking stuff to get to the good stuff, but he swore, both of them said, get to those ponds, because they're in there. Oh, my bad. I had to slow down for a no wake sign in a kayak.
So I'm starting with this hook. It's a Z-Man Chin Locks with a Z. It's got the weight up front, and that is just so the Elastec, this plastic, it's like crazy durable. It just holds its chin. Well, it locks the chin up front, and you want to make sure you rig it straight. And it's got a little bit of a belly weight just to orient it so it doesn't lay on its side as you're bringing it in. So in through the nose, up through the chin. Make sure that it's centered, because if your bait isn't on there straight, it'll corkscrew coming back a little bit, and it just doesn't look right. And I want just the knot sticking out. I don't want the whole eyelet sticking out. I'll tuck it in. There's a little opening in the bait. You tuck the hook up in there, and you want it to go straight across, and it lays flat. And that will come through just about anything. Skipping it into these branches, bringing it through grass, even use these for catching river smallmouth up my way. But this one's scented paddlers, and the color is Redfish Toad. Seems appropriate. If they're really finicky, I will put a little bit of scent on there. If they're hitting it and dropping it real quick, you just squirt a little bit up in that little hook slot, and it holds it pretty good. I'm fishing it on it's a St. Croix power spin, so it's a medium heavy spinning rod, and I got braid. I think it's probably 30-pound braid and a 20-pound fluorocarbon leader, so I can really heft them out of there. Spinning rod, because, well, I can't skip with a bait cast. I don't know too many people that can, but you do want it to be medium heavy or even heavy to be able to winch them out of the the branches that are in there. So that's it. That's my rig.
Well, I just snagged on the mangroves over there, and I had a little burr in my line, so needed to retie. And I was throwing Moon Eyes. Looks like about an 1/8 ounce. With this wind, it's been a little hard to kind of control my cast where they're going, so putting a little heavier weight on there, plus a little bit extra flash. Hopefully I can attract some fish in. I've gotten a few bites. Nothing's really committed yet, though. And I did catch a crab not too long ago, too. That was kind of fun.
Well, it looks like Mr. Little found the fish. Let's kick it over to him to see where he caught it, how he caught it, and what he caught it on.
These fish are so pretty. I think he's got 2 spots on one side, 3 on the other, and he's drumming. Red drum. Dun 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 dun. You can kind of hear it. If you bass fish, you can catch these. And basically what I was doing when I caught this was very similar to skipping docks for largemouth. We're gonna scoot down to the spot where I got him, and we're gonna take a look at it, and I'll just show you the tactic, the rigging, and everything I use to catch him. So as much commotion as you can make going in, and as deep in there as you can, and then I'm just slowly swimming it out, waiting for that crunch. And he crunched it good.
So yeah, today's been, as you can probably see around us, it's been a little windy. And when we're out in the open flats, it's nice to have the pedal drive. You're able to kind of keep your position. You can keep the exact distance you want away from the shorelines and stuff. But what's nice about the hull design in this Slayer Max is it's designed for speed, and it's designed to paddle well too. So when we're in these little channels and we got the wind blowing up against us and it's too shallow to use that drive, the boat handles perfectly. Nice and narrow, you're not hitting the gunnels with your paddle, and it moves very fast. So definitely a plus for the hull design, I think, in this one.
You see them, you know where they are. You put it in front of them, and you see it swirl, and you feel it hit. Like it just stair steps up the excitement, from seeing it and knowing you get a good presentation out in front of it. Like it's just, there's nothing better than when they're on. And I think they're in here. I just don't think they're on.
All right, so the old saying, if you don't like the weather in Florida, just wait because it's going to change. Well, it did. And unfortunately for Jeff and Chris, they both had to take off. Chris has a meeting tomorrow morning, and Jeff had to get on the road to do what he does with Torquedo. So we headed back in, and I'll be honest with you, I normally fish the first 2 hours of an outgoing for my most success for redfish. I was talking to Dave back at the shop, and Dave said that he finds he has the most luck here in the first couple hours of the incoming. That's why local area knowledge is always good, and that's why time on the water is a big deal. So I would like to say I twisted Dave's arm to come back out with me, but it actually was the other way around. He's like, well, hey, man, if you want to go back out, which another old saying is, you don't have to threaten me with a good time. We loaded everything back up, gave it a little bit of time, drink some caffeine, let the tide finish going all the way out, and we're working our way back into these ponds. Same ponds we were at a couple hours ago, and I might learn something new. I am a big fan of the first couple of hours of the outgoing because all the bait's getting washed out of the grass and the redfish are just busting them up. What do you think it is that makes the fish here more productive on the first couple hours of the incoming?
Well, what I found normally in this area with the redfish is that with that incoming tide, a lot of times you'll find these redfish right up along the banks. You'll see their back out of the water, about this far. You see them up in the shallows. And with that incoming tide, I think they've got the comfort that the water level's rising and they can get up that shallow without having to be stranded.
So they're not coming in with the tide. They just stayed in the flats.
They're staying here.
When the tide starts coming back in, it just turns the conveyor belt back on.
Correct.
See, a lot of the places I'm used to fishing, the tide is falling out. That's when the fish could get in there. So you're saying these ponds have enough depth that they just hang out.
Exactly.
When the tide flips, they're basically sitting there ambushing skinnier water, less water to chase the bait in, and
You got it. Yep,
okay,
exactly. Yep.
Well, that's why you talk to the pros when you can. So Dave Farlow is with Salty Dog Outfitters. If you're coming to this area and you're going to launch at the High Bridge, you can't miss him. Got a cool little shop. Forget everything at home and come here and gear up because he's got everything you need. Looks like he's got a lot of the same stuff I'm using tied on. But what are your top 3 redfish lures for fishing, Flagler Beach, Palm Coast area for targeting winter redfish?
Top 3 for me, my old go-to would be the paddle tail, Slayer, DOA. I love the trout eye jig head on it. I like a top water, a small skitter walk in the wintertime, use the smaller baits. And then other than that, those are my top. That's pretty much all I use. I mean,
Okay.
As far as a third,
So I'm a big fan of the Slayer plastics. I've used DOA over the years. One of the baits that I recently went to that I've found a lot of success with is Z-Man makes this diesel minnow. And because of that Elastec plastic that Z-Man has, a lot of times what I found, I could throw that bait out and just by barely moving it, that tail has a lot more action because it's just a little softer plastic. So I like the harder plastics when I'm doing a steady retrieve, but if I'm doing a slow retrieve, dragging it in the shallow water or slowing down because the water temperatures are cold like it is in the wintertime, that Z-Man diesel minnow is money. So anyway, guys, there it is. Dave's top 3 from Salty Dog Outfitters. We're going to get out there and see if we can't find them. Do you find much success with spoons here? I'm a big spoon feed them for redfish kind of guy.
there are a lot of guys in the area that use spoons and are very productive with spoons. Me personally, I'm not a spoon guy, never really used them. I'm a firm believer in confidence in the lure you're using. But yeah, there's a lot of guys that love the spoons. The silver, Johnson Silver Minnow, they love it. They
love
use
it
here
too.
And they kill them. So.
All right, cool. Well, let's get out there and see if we can't find them.
Sounds good. Right here in the backwaters of the Tomoka Basin area and the High Bridge area, this is probably one of the most unique fisheries we have in the area. You've got such a biodiverse water system back here. You got to go from your oyster beds straight into your mud flats. A lot of little mosquito ditches that were dug out many years ago. A lot of areas for a lot of different fish and animals and things like that to actually really thrive. This is about as real Florida as you can get. It's untouched. It'll remain untouched. It's all protected and preserved. So yeah, I mean it's one of the better places I've found in Florida to fish for sure. Nice grab. All right, so I was using a 3.5 inch Slayer paddle tail. Color was purple nurple is the color of it. And a 3/16 ounce trout eye jig head. It's the glow eye color. Just slow rolling across the bottom. I was fortunate enough for him to come up and slam it right beside the kayak. Gorgeous little redfish. Say probably 21, 22 inches. All right, so even with the tough conditions we've had today, you're always able to find fish here in the Flagler County area, High Bridge area. It hasn't been the best day, but we've been doing pretty good. You can always find fish here, and when it's on. It's always good.
You got another one? Dave's hooked up again.
he hit me right along the shore, right along the bank. And about 9 times out of 10, when they do that, they run right at you, and they don't even realize that they're hooked. And then what I found, they run right back at you. They go underneath the boat, and then once they get to the other side, that's when they realize, oh wait, there's a hook in my mouth, and then they start peeling off some line, and they really put up a good fight. They've got to get out into that deeper water first so they can fight you really good. But yeah, he put up a better fight than that last one. He's a little bit fatter. I think this one, even though Chad's catch and release, I think this one's going to go in the frying pan. I think I'm feeling some black and redfish tacos tonight. That purple nurple, 3.5 inch slayer, great bait. I've been killing them with it lately. And what I like to do when I'm taking fish home, I don't take them home all the time. I like to use these stringers. It keeps them a little more fresh, keeps them a little more, keeps them alive. He'll probably still be alive when we get back to the dock, hanging over the side of the boat like this. It creeps most people out because they're like, what about sharks and gators? Well, knock on wood, I haven't had that happen yet.
I've officially skunked today. The master's right over there. He went out there and, you know, voodoo whispered them, kissed them on the cheek, breathed on their neck, and got them to eat, which I couldn't do. But listen, I'm going to tell you something. This is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been in my life. You definitely got to come down here and get away from the hustle and bustle. And you know how they say there's no such thing as a bad, wait, what do they say? A bad day of fishing is better than a good day at work or whatever? Well, fishing's my work. And a bad day at work is better than a good day at work, I guess. You know what I'm saying? A bad day of whatever. Anyway, I had a good time. We'll catch them next time. So now I got to come back here on my way to the 10 Invitational and lay the smack down on some of these redfish. So, but if you want to catch them, go with that guy right there. Anyway, that's Dave Farlow, Salty Dog Outfitters. If you're coming to this area, just go follow him around because obviously he's catching them and I couldn't. So anyway, pay no attention to all of my tips on how to catch redfish because none of them worked. Anyway, we'll see you on the next video.